Hey everybody, good morning. How are you? It's good to see you guys. Thanks for joining me today. Happy Thursday. It's a beautiful Thursday out in my part of the world. A little warm, but I had a great walk out this morning. It was a lot of fun. Took my dog with me. You might have seen me post the video online about that. But it's really good to see you guys. Really happy that you could join. Just as before, I'm going to be broadcasting on multiple platforms. Today, actually, I think I have 6 different platforms I'm pushing out on because, I'm so passionate about data science that I kind of want people to, be excited about this also. So here's what I'm doing. Right now, I'm using my broadcasting OBS software to push out to X, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. I added Twitch. I have no idea if there's an audience on Twitch, but we're gonna find out. And on top of that, on this camera, if you guys see me looking over here, that's my TikTok. TikTok I can't quite stream to just yet with software, but I can stream via my phone. So I'm gonna be pushing out to TikTok. So I've got all of you guys online. I have you guys on my chats. It's going to be a challenge. Maybe I won't push out to this many platforms in the future, but let's try it. Let's have some fun. So speaking of having fun, last time we did a global roll call and I really enjoyed that. And I think it's also good for you guys to see where everybody is joining from because, data science is so international. So if you're in the Instagram, I see quite a few people on Instagram, or if you're on my YouTube or any other platform, go ahead and tell me where you're from. Tell me the city, the state and province, or the country that you're from. I want to see that because I think it helps, again, it helps us all to see, who's out there, how universal data science can be. So I think it's fun. Like I said, I like traveling. So seeing that I'm reaching out to multiple people is really fun for me. So let's see where you guys are from. All right, we already got a couple people. So I'm gonna keep an eye on those. But while people gather up their courage to tell us where they're from, I want to share just an opening note with you because I think it's important just to kind of have things to think about. So I'm going to share an opening note, and if you guys want to give me your thoughts on it, I appreciate that. I appreciate the feedback. So this morning I read something on YouTube that was talking about how, not on YouTube, on X, where one of these data science AI experts was talking about how the next generation or future generations of AI are going to be mind-blowing because the chat interfaces are going to be, really exciting and really powerful and be powered by some strong AI engines. What I want you guys to think about is I want you to think about how everything that you're seeing with AI now is just Act 1, right? This is all very, very early stages. Even though the tools are extremely advanced, it's very early stages for anything having to do with AI. So the next generations of tools are going to be super advanced because machine learning iterations tend to advance very quickly. So if you're thinking that future generations are going to have a chat interface, that's bad. That's terrible. You shouldn't be an expert if that's what you think, because that's not where all of this is headed. It's headed towards more automated tools, more workflow tools, things like that, right? It's not going to be about just helping you write emails or copilots or things like that. It's going to move a lot faster than that. It's going to move a lot more advanced than that and a lot faster than that than most people think, right? So just keep that in mind as you read things online or you look at these experts or things like that. Iterations with machine learning, with data science happen very quickly. So things are going to move very quickly. So to think that it's going to be a chat interface, that's not thinking anywhere near far enough in advance. All right. So we got a couple of people who have told us where they're from. So I'm going to scroll back in my chat. If you're still in my chat, don't be shy. Feel free to let us know where you're from. I try to make my content accessible to people. So you don't have to be like some super data scientist to participate. Just let us know where you're from, and just let us kind of interact with the community. So Jersey City, New Jersey, Obey Mike. Hey, Obey Mike. I think I've seen you in the chats before. So welcome. Thank you for supporting the channel again. I think I told you I still have some friends in Jersey City. Very nice, but very expensive part of the country nowadays. Jersey City is not a cheap place to live anymore. Srushti94 is joining us from San Jose. So thank you. That's a great part of the country, obviously. I assume you work in tech up there. You kind of have to in order to afford San Jose. San Jose is very expensive. And then we have Jack Hai from Penang, Malaysia. Hey, how are you? That's got to be a hot part of the country. It's hot and humid, I imagine, in Malaysia. Himsteak is from Portola, California, but I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee right now. What took you to Knoxville? Some sort of family or some sort of event? Let us know how you ended up in Knoxville. That's a pretty far away from California. Srinath is joining us from Halifax, Canada. Awesome, good, welcome. Canada is a great part of the world. Great people in Canada. I've done a lot of work in Canada. I've done a lot of contracts in Canada. You may call me Tim. Okay, so we shall call you Tim from Michigan. From Detroit-ish, Michigan. Okay, are you embarrassed to claim Detroit? Is that something that people are trying to avoid? But welcome to us. Oh, Fabulous is joining us from Venice, Italy. Very cool. I think you might be our first Italian viewer, or at least who has told us that they're from Italy. So thank you for joining us. We get some. I get some viewers from Western Europe in my statistics, but not too many from Italy. So welcome. All right, lots of people joining. Don't be shy to tell us where you're from. Stephen Jacob Allen from Salt Lake City, Utah. I think you've been in the chats before too, so thank you for joining us, Stephen. Salt Lake City is nice, but aren't they having problems there with the lake and like the sediment that goes out into the air because of the drying lake? Isn't that a danger in Salt Lake City? But Salt Lake City is a nice city there. Ismail Wako from Kenya, Africa. Nice, welcome. I get a lot of emails from various countries in Africa or whatnot. A lot of students in a lot of the African nations. The IT Guy 84, hey from the UK. Well, hey to you too. What part of the UK, right? I think that's a couple of countries. Let us know what part. Karthi writes, hello from India. Well, hello to you too. India is a big country if you want to tell us where you're from. Yusuf Adigun, hi from Manchester. Well, hello to you too. How's things in Manchester? And then we have Mirzonabat. Mirzonabat is from Tajikistan. You're going to have to forgive my ignorance there. I don't know where that is. I'm imagining that's one of the Balkan nations. The IT guy writes South Yorkshire, England. Okay, thanks for that clarification. Deepak Chakravarthi is also from India. Great. I'm checking my YouTube. Zach, I see you on my YouTube. So hello to you too from India. Glad to see that you're around. Glad to see that you're joining us. Nobody on TikTok wants to participate and tell me where they're from. That's okay. TikTok's being a little shy this morning. So is X. I'm not seeing any volunteers on X. But it's nice to see everybody. Okay, so Karthi writes that he's from Tamil Nadu. Very cool. It's really exciting to see just how international data science is, and it should be, right? I mean, it's important to a lot of countries. It's important to a lot of companies. So there's opportunities all around the world in all kinds of different ways in data science. So with that, if you're joining us late, feel free to still tell us what city you're from. And also, if you have any questions or anything that I can help you with, that's what I'm here for. I think that one of the things that distinguishes my content from other data science stuff is that I am a practitioner of data science. I've been out in the field for a very long time. I think that's a common thing sometimes where a lot of these experts online really haven't worked in the field. And that's one of my motivations for starting this, because I want to give a real world look into what it is to practice data science in the real, kind of like on a corporate basis or on an enterprise basis. So that's kind of why I do this. That's why I make myself available. Okay, so Karthi writes to us on Instagram. And by the way, if you're on any other platforms, feel free to put a question on there. So Karthi writes and says, may I know, without a degree in computer science, can we still make it as a data scientist? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've spoken about this in various ways. But I think sometimes that there might be a little bit of an overemphasis on the degrees and on the academics. And don't misunderstand me, that part of it is definitely important. But it's not all about that. It's also about you as a data scientist, right? It's you and how you practice data science and your skills, your creativity. I'll give you an example. If you're going to go to a doctor, let's say, and you need to have a surgery, like, maybe you need to have like a tumor removed, right? From your arm, let's say, right? When you're going to that doctor, you don't care. Well, you care that he has a degree, but you don't care where the degree is from or what it is. You care more how many tumor surgeries have you done, right? If you're gonna cut me open or do something to my body, I don't care about your school. I care about how many times you've done this to other people, right? Data science is kind of the same way, because I've said that before, data science is a learned science, like a doctor or a lawyer, right? So it's not just about the academics. It's important, don't misunderstand it. But it's also about you. It's also about your skills. Data science is a skill. How have you applied the scientific method? How creative are you with data, right? How creative are you with your data transforms? All of that is super important. So don't let that kind of throw you off, like, oh, I don't have this degree. It's about the practice, right? So, good luck with that. But, just keep that in mind. It's about you actually doing data science, not necessarily, what your degree says. Okay. All right. Tajikistan is in Central Asia. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I learned something new today. I did not guess that. I would have bet that it was one of the Balkan countries, but that's my own ignorance. So thank you for that clarification. Deepak Chakravarthi writes, data science is booming, isn't it? It is booming, and it's been booming for a while now, right? It's been booming for, gosh, at least 5 years, maybe a little bit longer than that, maybe even 10 years. And I think it's going to continue to boom. In fact, I think that was one of the questions in one of the lives earlier this week, I think last Sunday, where somebody said, well, is data science dying out? And I think that's far from the case. It's definitely booming and will continue to do so. Now, the field will change, right? And it's up to you to adapt with those changes. But yeah, absolutely. It's booming. It's going to continue to boom. It's going to continue to rely on you to kind of refine your skills, stay on top of your game. Again, coming back to that doctor example, that doctor may have learned how to do a particular procedure one way in school, in academics, but then a couple years later, a new technique comes along. And then a couple years after that, another technique comes along. And it's up to them as a doctor to kind of keep up with that, right? To refine the skills. Things will become more advanced. A lot of medicine now is very driven by imaging and algorithms and things like that. Well, you just got to keep up with that, right? Data science will be the same way. It's booming, but you still got to stay on top of the trends. But yeah, I definitely agree with your sentiment there, Deepak. It's a booming field and will continue to do so. All right, let's keep going here. Agnes Francis, 1, 2, 3. Agnes, I didn't see where you were from. Let us know where you're from. If you're joining us, let us know where you're joining us from. And Agnes writes, how to get an entry-level job in data science and which platform I should look for. Agnes, help me understand what you mean by platform. What do you mean by platform? I'm not entirely sure what you mean there. So if you could please provide some clarification there, let me know. Mirzana Bhat, I love the name, by the way. How do you think generative AI is going to affect data science? What part of generative AI and which portion? Are you talking about, creating LLMs or creating new generative approaches or about using it, right? Because you can also be a user of generative AI while you're working in the field, right? You can use it to write code, right? You can go out right now and say, can you write me an example of a neural network in Keras, and you'll get code for that, right? So is that what you mean? Help me understand what you mean by that, okay? Stephen writes to us, yes, shrinking lake exposes the lake bed that dries and could contain toxic dust, causing all kinds of issues when it gets swept into the air. That's scary, isn't it? That's super scary. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the geography in the US, Salt Lake City in Utah does indeed have a massive salt lake. And because of various weather issues, the parts of the lake are drying out, and I think it's getting smaller and smaller. But as that sediment is exposed, the wind picks it up and puts it into the air. So there's been some studies that indicate that there might not be some very healthy things in that dust that gets picked up. So there's a lot of, if you believe everything you read and all that, there's a lot of scary things coming out of that part of the country because of that air. Over what time period, to what degree, I know I'm not an expert on. Maybe Stephen wants to speak to that. But yeah, so that's why I asked, because that's something that a lot of people in Salt Lake City are concerned about. Personally, I am in Las Vegas. That's not very far from Salt Lake City, so I don't think the wind will affect us to that degree. But we also have dust issues out here, and Las Vegas is not a great city if you have respiratory issues. But that's why I asked. That's why I was curious. But thank you for that clarification, Stephen. Summerzona clarifies and says, if I am considering a new career, what should I choose? Data science, data engineering, or data analytics, considering job opportunities? Great question. I love the question. To me, the first thing that pops into my mind is don't view these as mutually exclusive items. They are very correlated, and you're going to find a lot of crossover in these data science positions. I think I wrote this in one of the answers. Sometimes I'll do answers to comments as videos, and I believe I did a little video on this. I'll tell you guys a secret about data science hiring. Data science teams don't always know exactly the person they're looking for. You're going to find a lot of postings out there that are just for like general data science specialists. But what they really need is a data engineer, or vice versa. They'll put it for a data engineer, but they'll take you if you have data science skills, right? Or they'll take you because you're strong in Python. And if you can be strong in Python for data science, you can be a strong data engineer too, right? Because it's the same tools, right? So don't view these as mutually exclusive. In many ways, you wrote items that are a very good career progression. Like you can start in data analytics, move into data engineering or data pipelines, and then become a data scientist. Like that would be a natural progression. And that's something that I've been considering doing a video on, as far as how I've structured my teams in the past. Because I have like my summer people, like my summer interns, and in my first years, and so on and so forth, right? So I might do a video on that. But you described a pretty good progression of your career also. So so my encouragement to you is to not view these as mutually exclusive, because I don't see them as exclusive. I think that you have a little bit of everything available there. Right? You could start as a data analyst or just a visualization specialist, right? You can be like a Microsoft BI specialist that then moves into data pipelines and then does data science or whatever the case may be, right? So try to not pigeonhole yourself and say, I'm only going to go for data engineering jobs. You can do a lot more than that, right? You can, and the requests of you will change in each role and over your career. So just keep going with it. Okay. Karthi says, thank you. It was quite motivating. Well, you're welcome. I hope this helps. I talked about this in one of my videos where, I'm just somebody who has a lot of experience and I want to share that experience, but really I'm just at home sitting here with my dog, alone and talking into a camera. So I don't know if this helps anybody. I'm just sharing, what my experience has been, the things that I have done. But if it helps you guys, I'm glad to hear it. So thank you for that. All right, Agnes clarifies that they are from Arizona. Well, welcome. My sister just recently moved away from Arizona, but Arizona is a nice state. I was just there a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, I got sick while I was there, but I was just in Phoenix a couple weeks ago. So welcome, Agnes. Nice to see you here. So if you're joining us late, I'm seeing a lot of joins. Please let us know what city, state, country, province, whatever you want to tell us. I try to make my content accessible to everyone, so you don't feel like you can only participate if you're some high-powered data scientist. Just let us know where you're from. Feel free to introduce yourself and just let us know that you're around and anything that I can help you with. All right. So while I wait for some of those folks on Instagram to chime in, I'm going to move over to my YouTube. Zach writes, "Is there any source to find internships in the field?" Zach, give us a little bit more background. Are you a student? Are you newly graduated? What are you studying, or what's your degree in? Give us some more of a background. I'm not always great with job resources. That's not really kind of what I do. And it's certainly hard for me to speak on other countries and their availability. I try to stay in my lane and only talk about things that I know of. So I can help guide you as much as I can. I can tell you that on YouTube, I have a data science guide for students. I took the time to create this 20-minute video that goes over everything that I would be doing as a student, kind of like the progression of how you would study. So if you haven't seen that, please check it out on my YouTube. I took the time to do that because I get a lot of questions from students. So it's something where I would ask you to look at it first and then come back, and then I also issue a coding challenge in that video, and then come back to me and say, okay, I did everything and I'm still having trouble. If you're stuck then I will do my best to help you. Okay, so Zach clarifies, I got my bachelor's in CS. Okay, congratulations. And I'm actively learning about machine learning, deep learning, and so on. That's good. Just make sure that you're going about it in a structured way, in a way that's going to be conducive to you learning and getting a job, right? And I cover that in my student guide. So feel free to check that out. I recommend a book. I issue a coding challenge in there. Let me know what you think afterwards after you finish all of that, because I put that out specifically for someone like you. Okay, so Zach continues, I would like to get an internship as many interviewers ask me about experiences. Okay, that's another common question. And I think this goes for everybody, not just students out there. And I did a video on this. I'm actually quite proud of this video. I did this video yesterday. I'm going to publish it in 3 weeks, I believe. If you want to be a data scientist, go and be a data scientist. Excuse me. So many people that write to me, I get the impression that they're waiting for a magic fairy to come along and say, congratulations, you are now a data scientist. I am anointing you a data scientist. Bad news. Superman is not coming. You do not have a magic fairy coming to appoint you a data scientist. You can be a data scientist. What is stopping you from going out and getting your own data, coming up with your own hypothesis, and coming up with your own test for that hypothesis? Nothing, right? There's very few barriers to entry to stop you from doing that. So I would encourage you to do that and keep yourself, as working as a data scientist. I share that because that's what I did. I made the commitment to myself to do that. I would go to a coffee shop, to Starbucks. I would go every Wednesday and Thursday, and I did that for months. Every Wednesday and Thursday, I would show up at 2 p.m. and I would stay until they kicked me out at night. Nobody was paying me. I didn't have a contract for that. No interviews were coming up, nothing. I did that because I wanted to be a data scientist. So don't wait. Don't wait for that perfect internship to come along, that perfect interview to come along. You can do it. There's nothing stopping you from doing it, okay? If you were smart enough to get a CS degree, then you're smart enough to be a data scientist on your own. All right. Shuffle writes to us, hi from Morocco. Well, hello from Morocco. What part of Morocco? I've done a couple trips there, so I have a little bit of experience in Morocco. I would try to share my terrible Darija, but I don't want to embarrass myself. I know a little bit of Darija, but I'm terrible at it. Okay, so let's see what's happening back on Instagram. Barry876 writes, I am currently doing an MSDS, hoping to break into the field. I'm coming from the pharmaceutical industry. Okay, cool. So Barry, help me understand your motivations there. Why are you doing that? That's quite a change to come from pharmaceuticals to data science. There's a lot of opportunities in pharmacy, aren't there? Why the change? I want to know. Okay. You may call me Tim. Says, yes, please. Tim, I'm sorry, but I don't know what message you're referencing from earlier. If you could please clarify that. Namitha Subbaramat shares that I am currently a data engineer. Well, welcome, Namitha. Thanks for joining us. Mustafa, I thank you for joining us. I know you've been a supporter of the lives before, so thank you for being here. Mustafa also writes, how hard is it to go to ML engineer without being in a data entry role? Oh, wow. Have you been offered data entry roles in lieu of being a machine learning engineer? Like, is that something that's been offered to you? Like they want you to start off, I'm assuming they want you to start off with like human validation or something like that, or maybe like a QA role. Give me some more clarification there, because I'm not sure if I'm on board with that. If somebody's saying, well, we'll bring you in, but you're going to be a data entry guy first. I don't know about that. I know that I've brought in people and maybe like some of their very initial tasks are to help me with some human validation, especially around NLP tasks, you know, where you kind of just need people to read the results. So I have done that, but that was like a temporary thing, you know, like, because maybe you're waiting for like their computer access to fully come up and stuff like that. You know, so I've done little things like that. But if somebody is offering you a data entry role because later on it could turn into an ML role, I don't know if I'm on board with that. Let me know what you think about that, okay? The N2, welcome. The N2 writes, if you were hiring an intern or a fresher DS, what is the first criteria you look for of a candidate? Okay, good question. And this is also something that I might do a video on. Because I've talked about this in various parts, but what I would consider is, or what I look for is coachability. You want someone who is going to be coachable for what you do and what you're going to teach them. And I say that for a couple of reasons. Well, I say that, you know, based on experience, because that's what I look for, and I know that's what other managers look for. Because, you know, sometimes, you know, when we're doing our intern hiring cycles, or really a lot of the hiring cycles, you have to, you know, sometimes you have, like, they can't just interview with you, they have to interview with another manager so that you can get like a whole panel interview and panel feedback and stuff like that, right? So sometimes other managers will ask me to interview their candidates. And those managers ask me the same thing. Hey, do you think this person's coachable? Do you think I can work with this person? Do you think this person's willing to learn? So that's the first thing I would tell you, the N2. You got to demonstrate that you're coachable. Because, and it's especially true with internships, because the internships tend to be so short, right? When I get my summer interns, I only get them for 10 weeks. So I need a very focused, enthusiastic 10 weeks from you as the intern coming in, right? Very, very short time period. So you got to be coachable. And then really the second criteria is to be enthusiastic. Be enthusiastic about the industry that you're going into. You know, I tell this to some people and they just, you know, for some reason, they just don't seem to get it. But first of all, when you get an internship, you're most likely just going to get anything that comes along, right? Maybe you want to be a finance intern, but you're going to get an internship offer from like a manufacturing company, right? Let's just say that. You may not be interested about manufacturing, but you're still going to take that internship because it's the only thing that's available or it fits into your schedule, whatever the case may be. Well, be excited about manufacturing because the people who you're going to be working with, that's their job. They've chosen to make manufacturing their profession, right? So you got to be enthusiastic about it too, because I don't want an intern that's not enthusiastic and goes, oh, this is manufacturing and I really want to be doing finance. Nobody wants to hear that, right? If I'm your boss at that internship, I feed my family and my kids based on me doing manufacturing. So the last thing I want is somebody who's going to come in and be a wet towel all day and just be like, oh yeah, I guess this is okay, but what I really want to be doing is something else. Don't do that. If you get that offer and you're still just kind of building your resume, if I was in your position, I'd be the most enthusiastic person about manufacturing. Hey, I'm here to learn. Show me everything about manufacturing, right? Be that sponge. Be that the excitement around the office, right? And show that you're excited about the industry, right? The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to learn something, and that's okay, right? So make sure that you're kind of enthusiastic and you're showing that you're coachable, that I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn about your business, your industry, and kind of, move forward with that enthusiasm. Okay. So that's what I would advise to you, and keep looking. I know it's discouraging sometimes to look for internships, but you'll get there. You'll get there. All right. So that was a great question. And again, I might expand on that and make that into a longer video. Let me go back to YouTube because it looks like YouTube is providing some more information. Okay, so Shuffle, our friend from Morocco, writes that they are from Rabat. Okay, that's cool. I haven't quite made it to Rabat. I've made it to Casablanca a few times, but not quite Rabat. And I've made it to other parts of Morocco, but not Rabat. So I hope you guys are doing well out there. I think it's a little warm this time of year. I'm currently reading the book Hands-On Machine Learning, Scikit-Learn, and Data Science. What do you think about it? I think those sound like fine books, and then you also write, as a data science student, is a good thing to have a portfolio like live website, etc. So I think those books are fine. Really any book is fine. The important part, and perhaps more important than your portfolio, is also about practicing data science, like actually doing data science. Like I told this to Zach earlier, right? It's also just about doing it, right? Like I have yet to hear a reason for somebody to tell me that, oh, I can't do my own projects. Like why? Why can't you? Data is freely available, right? The tools are freely available, right? Data science is very egalitarian. The tools are free and open, available to everyone. You sound like a smart guy, so you have some skills behind you. So now put it all together. What does your data look like? What is the hypothesis that you can form from that? What are the experiments that you would need for that hypothesis? What does the code look like to create those experiments? And so on and so on. And then finally, also important is, okay, you ran the experiments. What does the data tell you? How do you interpret that? How do you take all of that code and write it out and say, here, I did this, these are my findings? Because stakeholders don't want code, stakeholders want results, right? So how do you do that? In a rough way, I just gave you a little bit of a methodology for data science, right? That's a rudimentary methodology. There is nothing stopping you from carrying that out. So yes, a portfolio is important, but practice it, do it. And believe it or not, that's going to come across in your interviews. I can get more from you and I sitting down and you talking to me about data scientists and using the lingo, using the right words, showing me that you've done it, more than me flipping through a website or flipping through a portfolio that you bring me, right? Or in some cases, you're going to have some internships or some jobs that ask for a writing sample. Well, what a great writing sample would it be if you could write that and say, here's the final report that I wrote on this study that I conducted. Here's how I got the data. Here's how I ran the experiments. Here's my conclusions. And by the way, this is also my writing sample. How fantastic is that if you can walk into an interview like that? I mean, that's super powerful, right? If you can do that, if you can walk into an interview and say, yeah, here, I've done the work, right? And nobody paid me for it. I just did it, right? Nothing's stopping you from doing that, especially if you have some great books and it sounds like you already have some academic study. Do it. Be a data scientist. Superman is not coming to call you a data scientist and anoint you one, right? And do it yourself. So good luck in Morocco. You know, it's a beautiful country. But yeah, let's keep going here, guys. Austin, Texas. Welcome, Namitha. Mo Ware is watching from Bavaria, Germany. Nice. Very cool. Bavaria, is that where BMW is? I mean, I know that there's obviously multiple companies in Germany, but I think that's where BMW is. All right, so Yusuf writes a little bit of a follow-up question, says, how can I demonstrate coachability in my application for a data science role? That's very hard. You know, I understand your concern there, Yusuf. That's very hard to do that as an applicant, right? You probably have to get to the interview stage in order to demonstrate that, right? Or at least effectively demonstrate that. So I hear you. It's hard in an application, but when you do get that phone call, the phone screen, the interview, whatever the case may be enthusiastic and say, hey, I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn from you guys. I'm here to do whatever you tell me. I'm here to practice my communication skills. I'm here to, share the little bit of programming that I know, and I want to learn about your industry. So that's how I would demonstrate it. But I see your point. You are going to have to get to the interview stage in order to do that. Okay. Let's stay with Instagram. I see you, YouTube. I see more messages on YouTube. I'm going to try to get back to YouTube, but bear with me here. Okay. Kabir Mehta writes, I got a very low GPA at my first year studying CS at UW-Madison. I've heard Madison's a party school. Did you do a little bit too much partying? Okay, you don't have to answer that. Don't out yourself. But I can imagine why that low GPA came about. I'm looking to bounce back academically and get an internship next summer. Any pointers? Same pointers that I've given to other folks. Right? Do the work. Do the data science work. Right? For your data science resume, it's not a bad idea to put your academics at the bottom. And then put your project experience or your tool experience at the top, right? That is not a bad idea, because that's what you really want to speak to, right? You want to speak to the studies you've done, the work you've carried out, the code you've written, the tools that you know backwards and forwards, right? So that's what I want you to focus on, right? Doing the work. That will help you overcome some of those academic challenges. And you can also consider taking your GPA off the resume. There is no law that says you have to publish that out, right? So you might want to consider that, but obviously don't be dishonest if they ask you. It's important to be honest in interviews, right? And in your background checks. All right. Okay. So guys, again, if you're still joining us, feel free to write your city, your state, province, your country. Love hearing about that. I love traveling the world, so it always excites me when I see people joining in. So feel free to tell us, but I'm going to keep going down some of these lists. Looking down my Instagram. Kilnarawal writes, I recently just graduated, but I can't seem to find a job. Okay, why not? What are some of the challenges that you're running into? Let us know. And also let us know what country you're in, because I think that's going to vary by country and things like that. So let us know. And by the way, guys, if somebody in chat sees something like, hey, I live in your country too, or I'm studying that too, feel free to, join in and help each other. Certainly welcome that. It's great to be able to create a community and kind of meet with like-minded people. So let's keep on going here. El Esplendido says, thank you. I really needed to hear that at this moment. Oh, well, thank you too. I'm not exactly sure which portion you're referring to, because I do tend to give long answers. I apologize. But yeah, if I can help you guys in any way, that's exciting. I just decided to start this. I'm still a new content creator. I've only been at this a month, guys. I started May 1st. So I'm still new. I'm just sharing my reality. And, I'm just sitting at home alone here with, talking into a camera. So if it helps you guys, I'm excited, thank you for that. Happy to keep on doing it. But yeah, let us know where you're from, El Esplendido. I don't think I saw that from you. All right. So Himsteak also writes, can you give some advice on the scope of a good data science project? I never know when to stop analyzing. Okay, that's a very good question. What are some of the objectives in your study? What does your hypothesis say about how deep you need to go? That should be one of your considerations there, right? Because your hypothesis should tell you everything you need to know. Have you taken the time to do a hypothesis? If you haven't, that's a problem, right? But the scientific method, the execution of the scientific method should tell you when to stop. And I think it's also important to periodically stop and interpret those results. It's one thing to get the results, but as I mentioned earlier, stakeholders don't want to see your code. They don't even want to see your confusion matrix or things like that, right? They want to see the results. Like, what are you telling me, right? And this is something else that I'm going to want to talk about later on. But, one of the things I've learned working in the corporate environment, and I'm talking about working for very high corporate environments, very high people up the chain. One of my bosses in there, he would always tell me, give me something to react to, right? And you're going to find that in a lot of your corporate jobs where, the higher up you go, the busier that person is. So they don't have the time for reports and for you to sit there and tell them about the math you use and things like that. They just want to, just give me 3 different things and I'm going to give you my reaction and you go back and work on that reaction. That's an extremely common way of working in the corporate environment, right? So HIMSTake, I would tell you, can you identify when you've reached that level? Can you identify when you can at least say, here's my initial set of results. What do you think? And then let their reaction guide you further. And then in turn, they'll also tell you when to stop. They'll tell you, yeah, that's great, cool, right? Or I've written reports. As many of you know, I did work in the banking world, and I worked for people who would go on TV. So a lot of times my work ended when the TV broadcast went out because I would write something that then they would read on TV, right? So give them something to react to, and then they'll tell you when to stop. And then in lieu of that, your hypothesis and your scientific method approach, your execution of it should also tell you when to stop. All right? I hope that helps. Okay, so coming back, keeping with my Instagram, Umesh Bornare. Umesh, I don't think I saw where you're from, my friend. I am a mechanical engineer currently learning Java. Oh no! We just had discussion on this. Java is bad. Come on, guys, say it with me. Java is bad. Why are you studying Java? Please tell me they forced you to do it or something. How to switch to data science. Okay, first part, drop the Java. Some good sources to learn, and will I get irrespective of my engineering from different branch to IT? Yes, you can make the change. You can tell them, you can tell the interviewer, I'm sorry, I have seen the mistake of my ways. I should have never learned Java. Python is the greatest language, and I want to be a data scientist. All right, I'm just kidding. But yes, you can make the change. It's going to be a little bit harder, but it's also going to rely more on what I just said about practicing more of the actual work of being a data scientist. If you want to be a data scientist, go and do the work of a data scientist, right? It's really that simple. There's nothing stopping you from that. I have yet to have somebody tell me what the barrier or what the problem is for doing that, right? So just do the work. Just do the work. So Ella Splendido writes us that you're a junior in CIS looking for internships and full-time opportunities. Also did a science boot camp at Georgia Tech. Good for you. Georgia Tech has a great data science program, or I think maybe they just call it a data analytics program. I can't remember. But that sounds great. That sounds like a really good path that you're following there. Matteo BRV writes, hello from Italy. Well, hello. I don't know if you were the same person I was before from Venice, Italy, but it's great to see Italy here. I get Western Europe viewers, but I don't know if I get them from Italy, so welcome. I'm a computational linguist trying to break into the field, targeting more NLP-related roles. Great. Do you have any recommendations on how to fill math stats gaps for non-STEM people? That's a very good question, Matteo. First of all, let's put the math to the side because I don't think you need to fill the math side. You know, we've talked about this before on these live streams. I know that this varies with different people. I know that I'm going against the grain, but I am not somebody that advocates needing to have a deep math background for data science. I just don't think it's needed. You know, we all rely on the libraries that are out there, and there's no reason to not do that. You should be doing that because if you're writing math formulas on a continual basis in your code, you're doing it wrong, right? So first of all, let's put that. The stats is very important. I would encourage you to maybe take a class in applied statistics, like a graduate level course in applied statistics. That's what I'm a big fan of. That's what I did. So I think it's very effective to do that, especially around things like hypothesis testing. Most applied statistics are also going to have a component of regression methods. And when you start, there's a lot to applied statistics, right? But when you start talking about hypothesis testing and like regression methods, you are getting like super, super close to what data science is, right? I mean, if you look at regression methods is finding your factors and assigning weights to those factors. Well, that's like 90% of data science, right? What are your factors and what are the weights you're assigning to them? And then you run them through your formulas and activation functions, blah, 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 right? So that's what I would advocate. In addition to that, I think the hard part, I'm sorry guys, give me just a second to address my TikTok here. Why is my TikTok having problems verifying? There we go. The hard part is that NLP is not really applied statistics, right? I'm suggesting that to you just to kind of establish a baseline for data science in general. So you're going to have to do some work on your own. And if you're a computational linguist, you might already be familiar with a lot of that work, as far as like the machinations of NLP, right? But that's what I would recommend to you, try to look for an applied statistics course just to establish that baseline for you, especially, like I said, especially around hypothesis testing and regression methods. Okay, guys, by the way, my intent here is I'm only going to stream for another 10 minutes. I like to keep these less than an hour because Instagram does cut you off after an hour, unfortunately. So we're going to go for another 10 minutes here. Hopefully I'll try to get to more questions here. So I hope that helped you, Mateo. So Kabir writes, I disconnected the entire time you answered my question. Oh no. Could you please repeat the key points I answered my question? Oh, Kabir. Let me come back to you, my friend, because like I said, I'm running out of time here. So let me just keep going here. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry if I make a mistake with your name. Medilla Rock 21 writes, what are some essential certifications for a data analyst? Why do you need a certification? You can do it on your own, right? I don't want to poo-poo certifications, but they're not essential. Again, to me, a certification is that mode of waiting for somebody to appoint you a data scientist. Oh, I can't call myself a data scientist until I finish a certification. No, you can call yourself a data scientist by doing the work, right? So keep that in mind, okay? Like I said, I don't want to discourage anyone from bettering themselves. Good for you. But don't view it as like an essential step. Like, oh, I can't do this until I finish the certification. You can do anything you want, okay? All right, so let's keep going. El Esplendido is from Atlanta, Georgia. Wonderful, welcome. Inkbrush says, I try to tell this story around the data. That's a good approach. Very good. Himsteak says, enormously helpful as usual. Well, I hope it's helpful. And if you learned that Java is bad, then yes, I have been helpful. So I've done some good work here today. If I can discourage people from using Java, then my day is done. I might just sleep the rest of the day after this. Ria SRYC. Ria, let us know where you're from. I don't think I saw that. What should I do once completed Masters of Data Science, but I am a fresher? How can I join the industry? What is there to join? I don't have a data scientist membership card. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for 20 years. There is no membership card, my friend. You can do it. Find your own data. Find your own studies. It's out there, right? I'll give you an example. And again, I'm just sharing my experience because these are some of the examples that I did. But you might live in a city or a country that has open data initiatives that require them to publish data. I live in a city where police data is required to be published out. So you can get arrest records, warrant information, or the calls that the police get, like the emergency line phone calls. That's all free data. There might be similar sources in your country, or economic data, or even simple stuff. Like there isn't a government in the world that doesn't have reports on rice, right? Like virtually every government in the world publishes their projections on rice prices and production, right? Like go out and get that data and do a model with it. Create a hypothesis and run the tests, right? Nothing's stopping you from doing that. So I would challenge you that there is no joining the industry. There is no membership card, right? So just do the work. And that's going to help you in many, many ways when you actually go for those interviews and, go into those, right? And because you're talking from a position of knowledge at that point, right? Don't wait for somebody to hand you this nice, clean data set and tell you what model to use. And that's school stuff, right? That's not how it's done in the real world, right? So I would challenge you to go out and do it yourself. Make yourself a data scientist, okay? All right, keep going here. Please, if I may ask, what is the tech stack for data scientists? It's whatever you want it to be. Some people use R, some people use Python. I think those are the two most common ones. We managed to convert somebody from not using Java, so yay us, good chat. But it really just kind of depends on what you do, on what you want to do, and what libraries you want to use. Okay. Riaz writes, "Hey Dennis, I've shot you a message on Instagram. Would be great if you have the time to address it." Riaz, I apologize for missing your message. Unfortunately, I get a lot of messages. My account across all social media really has grown a lot. So it's challenging for me to keep up with it. I try to acknowledge people's comments, and I even do video replies for comments, and I try to reply as much as possible. But it's not always easy. So if I miss somebody's message, I apologize. It's not intentional. But I do try to do my best. I also have consultations that I make available for my corporate clients. If you have a pending interview or something else like that, I can certainly try to help you with that. I also offer mock interviews as a service. So you're welcome to book one of those with me, where I'll also review your resume and your LinkedIn profile if you'd like. But I do my best to try to keep up with everything. My day is quite filled. But if I miss your message or anybody else, I apologize. Doing my best. This is all new to me. I've only been at this a month. I'm fresh out of the corporate world right now. So it's a challenge to keep everything up, but I enjoy the interaction with you guys. I enjoy these live streams. And it's really been a lot of fun to talk with you. And like I said, unfortunately, I am going to have to wrap up because Instagram is going to cut me off here in a couple of minutes. But I will be streaming again on Sunday, this coming Sunday. My intent is to stream every Thursday and Sunday at the same time, 1500 GMT. So you're welcome to join me. Really been happy to spend some time with you. And you're going to see more content, more videos around some of these themes. But again, keep in mind, don't wait. You can be a data scientist yourself. Being a citizen data scientist is a thing, right? If you really want to be, in this world, then start. Just start. Just do it, right? And again, I'm saying that because that's what I did. I made the commitment to myself to be a data scientist because I determined that it was my passion. It's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So, I did it. I just went out and did the work, and that put me in a better position to get that first freelance contract, to, speak at a conference, and then to go out and get a corporate job as a data scientist, right? it's on you to do a lot of that work. So don't wait for me. Don't wait for a certification. Don't wait for that new book to come in the mail or whatever the case may be. Just do the work of a data scientist, all right? So YouTube, I apologize. I see your comments. I wasn't able to get to everybody, but again, feel free to join me on Sunday for the next stream. Instagram, I still see some messages on there. So I apologize for not getting to everyone, but really appreciate the time you spent with me today. Hope some of this has helped. If you have any feedback for me, I'm happy to keep on producing more content, or if you have questions or things you want to see a video on, please let me know. But I appreciate the time, and I hope you guys stay safe in your part of the world, and I'll see you next time.